if I take j equals 9 and then I multiply j into 9, it will give me out as 81. But since we have imported cmath over here, and once we imported cmath, it will already change all the modules that we have inside that. So when you calculate 1 plus 2j into 3, it will give you a totally different number, because it does not consider j as a variable. It only considers it to be, yes, you're right, to be an imaginary number. That's the reason. Now I have shown you how to calculate imaginary numbers, complex numbers, and I have even showed you how to round off. Let this one, I'll show you round off 2.9. It will give you 3 because it has completed it to its nearest digit. But what if we don't want that? What if we want just 2.9 to be 2.0? I just want to discard all the decimals. I don't want the decimal at all. I just want it to be an integer. It doesn't matter whether it's 2.1, 2.9, 2.6. I just want it to be a 2. Then how should we do that? For that, we will have to import floor from mathematics. From math, import floor. And what floor does over here is that it just converts the last digit to, it just deletes the last decimals. That's what it does. Let me show you. Math.floor 32.9. It has given us an error because we need to go ahead and write int inside that because we want it to be an integer. That's the reason. Just a moment, I think I must have missed something. Math.floor, just a moment. Okay, here we go. I just forgot to import the math module. So once I imported that and I write down math.floor, just a moment, here it will give it out the statement as 32. No matter, even if you write it as 32.2, 32.0, 32, even if I remove the integer over here, it doesn't matter, it will still give me out the same statement even if I write it as 9. The reason being that it just discards all the decimal there is after a period. It will just take the first 2 digits, that's it, first 2 or 3 digits before the decimals, that's it. So now I have shown you how to go ahead and write a program and how to calculate simple mathematics and complex mathematics. Now it's time for us to go ahead and save that and compile it into one program and execute that. So let me show you how one should do that. For that we need to first open our IDLE that we had over here. Just let me check. Okay, here it is. I'll just go ahead and create a new file. Once you have this new file over here, I'll just make it a bit small. Okay, here it is. So I want to write a program, let's say the simplest program ever that was created in a programming language, that is hello world, and I want to print that out. So I'll just write print parentheses, inverted commas, hello world. I will just go ahead and so I'll show you one more thing over here. If I first need to go ahead and save this file, I'll just go ahead, save. I'll just save it to my desktop, and if you're going to write a program, then you just need to go ahead and just let me go ahead and save this. Just save it as program, and I need to make sure that the extension is py, not exe, because Python extensions are always ends with py. No matter if you write it in Python, if you write it in Linux, Mac Python, or in Windows, you need to make sure that the program extension has .py, else it won't work. So I have written that. I'll just save it. I'll close this my Python for a bit. You can see that there is a program which I have just saved it. I can go ahead and double click it to run, but I cannot see any hello world. It just comes and it goes away. So there is one more reason for that, because over here we have just asked it to print the statement and exit. If there's nothing written over there, it means just exit. So now we need to show it that we need to enter something so that it just does not exit, it will stay there. So for that I need to input one more command, that is input parentheses press enter. Let's write that under inverted commas. And once we have done it, I'll just save it, Control S. I'll just save it from over here. And once I run that, I'll see a Windows command prompt type terminal, and it will show as hello world, and as soon as you press enter, it will exit. Yes, that's right, because now we have told the interpreter as to what to do once we have written the print program. That's why as soon as we press enter, it just has to exit, nothing else. Now once you have written this and executed this program, this is how we do it in Windows. But what if you want to do the same in Linux? If you want to do the same in Linux, you can open a similar notepad over there. In Linux, I would recommend using a GEDIT instead of IDLE, because ideally most probably you won't see that in Linux. If you have it, it's good. If you don't, then I would recommend using a GEDIT application, or even a LeafPad is good to write such kind of programs over there. I hardly recommend anyone IDLE because it's very complicated, and as soon as we go ahead with the if and else statements, conditional loops, it would be a bit difficult for a beginner. If you are an intermediate programmer, then it would be very easy for you, but if you are just a beginner, then it would be very hard for you to go ahead and write down those blocks and count those in ideally. It would be easier for you to go ahead and use a notepad in my case if you're using a Windows. If you're using a Linux or Unix, then it would be probably good for you to go ahead and use a GEDIT or a LeafPad. So now, and if you want to run a similar program in Linux, then you just as soon as you have written the program, you would first need to give it out the root permissions. I'll show you how to do that. So once you have written Notepad, or Notepad++ is a very great application if you just want to write down the programs. It gives you several, and it is a very good and easy to use interface rather than just using Notepad, which is a plain simple text. Notepad++ gives you very variety of options, and it is even used to write C, C++ programs, Java, and multiple other languages. My choice is ideally because I find it very easy, but for a beginner it would be very hard. Now moving on to next, as I told you that if you want to go ahead and once you have saved a program in Linux and if you want to run that, you need to give it root permission. So you need to open a terminal, go ahead and navigate into that directory. For me, I believe it would be root, and once you know, and the default terminal is a root if you are a super user for that. So once you have done that, you need to type it chmod, that's change and modify, and give root permissions to hello.py. Hello is the name of our program, .py is the extension. A+X gives it the permission to go ahead and execute that, because Linux is a secure environment and it does not allow any random program to execute. It will only allow a program to execute when it has root permissions. So once you have done that, you can just go ahead and type /hello.py and it will run in the terminal, else it won't work. That's how you need to go ahead and execute it in a Linux or a Unix environment.